10 years from now, if you're still teaching this class,
Yeah.
what would you teach your students about LeBron James?
I would say that you can't understand the way the fundamental landscape of sports and politics has shifted without understanding LeBron James for two reasons. The first is that LeBron James was the first great athlete to realize that the goal is not to be as pleasant to as many people as possible and as non-threatening to as many people as possible. But in this social media landscape, you can actually create more buzz by getting about 3/4 of the people to love you and 1/4 of the people to not like you, but to talk about you all the time. That it's one of those, as long as they spell your name right. He was really the first athlete since Ali to get that right. The second thing I would teach them is that LeBron James created a shield for an entire generation of athletes to speak out. Because if LeBron James, the most famous athlete in the United States, could do it, then they could do it too. And the last thing I would teach them is, if you want to understand the shift from what I would consider the Jordan era to the LeBron era, it starts with him getting the entire Miami Heat team to wear hoodies back in 2012 and take that photograph. I mean, this is 4 years before Kaepernick. And to take a photograph in solidarity with Trayvon Martin in Florida. And that if you don't understand that image, which was a viral image when we were only first talking about Twitter and viral images, then you can't understand anything that followed. So I think LeBron James is actually that important, that you can't understand an era of what's taking place off the court without understanding LeBron James. And now that he's in Los Angeles and he's even moving on to becoming like mogul/basketball player, and from what I hear, every time he walks into a studio or a production room in Hollywood, he leaves with money. He leaves with another deal, another documentary idea, another show idea. I mean, the guy is cleaning up in Hollywood like nobody since D.W. Griffith. And I think this in and of itself is going to burnish his legend. And so we don't even know what his legacy is going to be at this point.
Do you think Jordan would have been capable of this? Like, is he wired to do what? If I gave him a mulligan and said, you know what, you could be playing in today's generation.
You know, I honestly don't think so. I mean, I think he would be revered for his play. But the idea of being this outspoken person on social media, this idea of feeling like he needs to say something when there's a social cause that's risen to the occasion, I don't think he's wired that way. And he's done interviews where he's spoken about why he's not wired that way and speaks of himself in terms of being a post-civil rights athlete and growing up in this stable home in Wilmington, North Carolina, and just not feeling that in the same kind of way that he may say that other people expected him to feel that. And so, I mean, there are athletes today, certainly. There's legions of them who don't speak out and still believe in actually, this goes back to people like Joe Louis and Althea Gibson, like people who said, our play is going to do the talking. And that in and of itself is our contribution to the broader society. I truly think that that's the camp Jordan would be in. It's just hard to imagine. I mean, maybe it would be different. Everyone's a product of their times, but it's just hard to figure. I think he'd be the Aaron Judge of basketball.
But also, when you look at Michael Jordan, there was so much privacy, too.
Yes.
And people didn't write about things that they would be writing about now with today's athletes. And I think that, you know, I just can't see Jordan wanting to share more of himself, whereas LeBron sort of grew up in this.
Mm-hmm.
Today's athlete grows up in this and just says, oh, it's commonplace that I share pictures and I share, you know, everything about my life on and off the field, on and off the court.
Yeah, they're growing up now with this idea that they're on camera 24 hours a day and that they need to document what they're doing 24 hours a day. And this is part of not just how you function in society, but also how you build a brand, those magic 3 words that every athlete gets put in their head as soon as they enter the league. And I think for Jordan, it's like he was willing to let the companies build the brand for him. I can't imagine him saying, I'm going to build my own brand through social media and basically give it away for free. And as opposed to getting paid by Hanes, by Ballpark Franks, and by Nike to be able to build this brand for me.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.